What is going on, guys? I am back with another review of a day at an amusement park, and today I will be talking about opening day at my favorite park in Pennsylvania, Knoebels Amusement Resort. After months, weeks, and days of counting down, this day finally happened. So, today I am here to talk about how it all went down, as I typically would in any other review of the day. So yeah, so when I first got to the park, I walked over to Pavilion L for a check-in, and then after I checked in, I grabbed my wristbands for opening day and the next day, Sunday, because EB and I went back the next day on Sunday. Stay tuned for that content coming very soon, if it's not already out. And yeah, so then after I checked in, I picked up my wristbands for that day and the next day, that Sunday. So yeah, so after I picked up those wristbands, I walked around the park for a decent amount of time because the rides still weren't open yet, and I was complicating which ride I should start first. Like, what I mean by that is, like, I was indecisive about where to start first because eventually I kind of want to start a tradition where I start with an earthing ride as my first ride of the season at Knoebels. And yeah, so I was contemplating whether I should start with an earthing ride today or go to a coaster first. And I was originally thinking of starting with Stratosphere first, but but it seemed like it was like, I don't know what. So I just went over to Twister first for opening day. So I got my first ride of the season on Twister, which was good. And then after Twister, I think that's when I headed to Phoenix, I think it was. And then after Phoenix, I headed over to Flying Turns, I think it was. I headed to Flying Turns after Phoenix, and then after Flying Turns, which had a wait as always. And so anyways, after Flying Turns, I headed over to Paratrooper. It was good to see that back up and running on opening day, because I missed it all of the 2024 season when it was down for refurbishment, and it felt so good to finally get back on it. And so after that, I headed over to Rockoplane, and then after Rockoplane, I headed to Stratosphere for my first ride of the season on that for real. And yeah, so after Stratosphere, we headed to Grand Carousel, and then after Grand Carousel, I headed over to Impulse, where and after Impulse, I got a re-ride on it, and one was in the front, and one ride was in the front, and one ride was in the back. And so anyways, after Impulse, I rode Cosmotron, and then after Cosmotron, that came the lunch portion of the Ace event. So I had lunch in the pavilion, and then came the Q&A with the Knoebels family. And yeah, so after that whole thing, I headed over to Italian Trapeze, and then after Italian Trapeze, I think I rode Flyer. And then after Flyer, I went in Stony Gables. I really like how it looks on the inside now. And so anyways, I got my chocolate wurzel and my blue raspberry licorice as usual, because Knoebels' blue raspberry licorice, guys, is like the best licorice I've ever had. And I love the wurzels too. And yeah, so after my visit to Stony Gables, I went over to Downdraft because it wasn't operating earlier on in the day, but when I was in line for Flyer, I thought I heard it running, and I wanted to check to see if downdraft was actually open at that point, and I was like, oh my god, it is. And so anyways, I got a ride in on downdraft, and it's brand new location. I just love downdraft. It's my all-time favorite flat at Knoebels. And yeah, I got 2 back-to-back rides on downdraft in its new location because of how much I've especially missed downdraft over the off season. And yeah, so after those two rides on downdraft, I headed over to Phoenix, I think, and then after Phoenix, I headed to Stratosphere for a re-ride on that. And then after Stratosphere, I got a re-ride on Teacups. And then after that ride on Teacups, I rode Haunted Mansion. And there's a new change in there. But yeah, so yeah. After yeah, and it was a good ride. It was a good ride back on Haunted Mansion too. And so after Haunted Mansion, I headed over to Antique Cars. And then after Antique Cars, I waited for Phoenix CRT, where I saw Rick. Shout out goes to Rick and the whole entire Knoebels family for a great day. And yeah, so while I was waiting for ERT, I ran into Rick, and yeah, like I said, a shout out goes to him and the whole Knoebels family. And so after I waited for a bit, then began Phoenix ERT, where I got like a total of, I think, like 8 rides or something on it. And yeah, those night rides I had on Phoenix during ERT were phenomenal. And yeah, I kept feeling the crazy airtime in the front and especially the back row. And Phoenix is just such a good Woody. Yeah, so after that, and by the way, it was good also getting back on Antique Cars before ERT. And so yeah, so anyways, after that, that basically concluded my day at Knoebels for opening day. So that concludes my review of the day for opening day at my favorite Pennsylvanian amusement park, Knoebels Amusement Resort. I am so happy this day finally happened after weeks, months, and days of counting down, and I look forward to many more visits to Knoebels this season. And yeah, so make sure to reply to me your thoughts on this video, and make sure to stay tuned for more coming soon here to Coaster Plus Music 19, especially content from Knoebels Amusement Resort, which, like I said a million times before, is my favorite Pennsylvanian amusement park. And make sure to go check out my merch store on Bonfire. I'll have a link in the description. I sell t-shirts, face masks, all the things. So make sure to go check it out. I'll have a link in the description. And make sure to subscribe if you are new and turn on post notifications so you will not miss when I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next.